Hey everybody, I'm Sean, the Food Sovereignty and Community Resiliency Vista at the Environmental Institute of Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College. I will be serving for the 2019 to 2020 school year. In this video, I'm going to show you a walkthrough of PowerPoint's basics and what you'll need to know to complete the garden team projects and other similar PowerPoint presentations. To begin, we must open PowerPoint. In order to create a presentation, you should start with either a pre-made template or a blank presentation. We'll be starting with the latter today. This is the screen that you should see when you create your blank presentation. From here, you can begin to create, customize, and add important information. At the left side of the screen, we will first add a new slide. Creating a new slide is easy. Simply right-click on the blank white rectangle on the left side of your screen. This represents the first slide. Next, click on the New Slide option. This will create another rectangle. You want to include at least 6 total for the garden team project. Remember, sometimes your slides only need to include enough information in them to remind you of what you want to talk about. Feel free to use notes and be sure to keep track of where you will find your information. For the garden team project, you will need to include a title, brief summary of media, traditional knowledge, scientific knowledge, future directions in FDL-TCC, and basic references slides. Your new slides will look like this. All 5 of your newly created slides will look the same. If you want to adjust your slides' appearances and layouts, you can right-click on them, move to Layout, and select a layout that you prefer. I'm going to select Comparison. Now, just to get a leg up on what I'm going to be doing next, I decided I want to add my title. So I'll move back to the first slide, click on the box that the title goes in, and type in Monoman. For my subtitle, I will be putting my text in italics by holding Control and pressing I. Alternatively, you can go up here and click on the italics button, where you can also find bold and underline. I will now be typing the Goodberry. I will also put my name and the name of the institution I'm making this for. Now, I don't want my name and the institution to be italicized, so I can highlight it and remove the italicization. I selected this particular title because the media I picked out was an article about Monoman. I think it's usually the most useful to add your information before you decide you want to stylize your slides. Any information that gets in the way with the style that you decide you want to implement and the appearance of your slides can be adjusted later. In my first slide after the title slide, I want to add a summary of the media that I consumed. In other words, an article called Who is Monoman? In order to do that, I've gone through the article, taken some notes, wrote them down, and I prepared them as text. Now, you'll be able to add these as you go when you're making your slides. I've already prepared my text, so I'm just going to add it here by copying and pasting from another PowerPoint I have open on the side. You can copy by highlighting your text, right-clicking, and hitting copy. Alternatively, you can hold down the Control button and then press C. In order to paste your text, you do the same thing. You click where you want to go, you right-click, and then you paste as text, as a picture, source formatting, or destination theme. Choose whatever works best for you. By using them enough, you'll figure out what each does, but explaining it will take too much time. I'm just going to finish up adding the rest of my text here. While I was doing this, I had a good idea about stylizing my slides a little bit. In order to do that, I want to get the color scheme and the logo from the website where I read my article. You don't have to do this, but I thought it would make for a good design throughout the rest of my presentation. So in order to do that, I'll pull up my article in the web browser of my choice, right-click on their logo, copy the image, minimize, and paste the image via source formatting into the document. You can see that it's, well, you can't see, but you can see that the image is transparent in places and solid in others. The solid bits are the text in white. This means that we'll have to add a colored background in order to tell what it says. We can add a shape to serve as the background for our image. You can do this by going to the Insert tab, selecting the Shapes option, and then selecting Rectangle. I drew my rectangle at the bottom. You can see it snapping to the edges of my PowerPoint slide. Now I want to change my color to match something more like the red that we found on the website. Under the Drawing Tools Format tab, I select Shape Fill and the dark red color at the far left of the standard colors list. Now I can move the logo to where I want it. I've selected it, and I'll bring it down to the bottom of the screen. As you saw, it appeared that it was underneath the red rectangle. In order to prepare this, we can do one of two things. We can right-click on the image and bring it to the front, or we can right-click on our rectangle and send it to the back. Whoops. That might happen from time to time. You can quickly undo things like that using the undo arrow at the top left of your screen or holding Control and hitting Z. As you can see, I can now drag the logo where I want it on top of the rectangle. I'd like it to be centered in the entire slide, so I will put it when that large dotted line appears. Simply release and it will be pasted on top. I also like this color quite a bit, so I think I'm going to use it in the rest of my slides. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the rectangle in every other slide. And now, just to make sure I didn't forget, I'll add the very basic reference from where I got this information to my last slide so we know where that information came from. Just navigate to your web browser, find the URL, copy it, minimize, move to your last slide, add the references title, type in the title, hit enter, then hit tab to move your bullet point over, and paste your URL. Hit enter for it to turn blue, and then you're good to go. In order to move your bullet point over for the next reference, you can move up to the Paragraph tab and hit Decrease List Level. This will move it to the left. And then you can type in the title of your next article. Now, before I move on to my other sections, I decided I want to add my basic slide titles in the same rectangle as before to each slide. I've already added the rectangle, so now I'll go ahead and add my titles. Sometimes you might see traditional ecological knowledge listed as TEK. Now that I've added my titles, I can move on. In the meantime, I went and I searched for additional sources to bolster my PowerPoint. I've already collected them, so I'm going to go ahead and paste them into my references slide. I like to use Google Scholar to find my results. You can find it at scholar.google.com. Here you can type in anything you want, and you'll find results that come from scholarly sources. You can download the PDFs directly from the links on the sides. The ones without PDFs sometimes come as a book, and you'll have to purchase those. Otherwise, if your school offers it, there may be an option to download them separately. You can inquire with your school library for help with this. Now, it's important to start to report on the information that I've uncovered. I've already collected my information from my notes, and I've pasted them onto a different document. I will move them over now. Here, I've used quotes directly from an article. I comment on those quotes below. In my review of the scientific literature, I found a bit of information from a different article, and we'll paste it here. I think this slide might need some additional visual pop, so I think I'll add an image. I moved over my text box to make some room for a picture. Now I'll go find one. I want something that shows how manoomin can be prepared and eaten. This looks like a good picture. You can right-click on it and copy. Make sure that you don't have your text box selected when you want to paste it into your slide. I'll go ahead and paste it as a picture. Sometimes when you paste an image into a PowerPoint slide, it may be sent behind text. You'll have to bring it to the front in order to make sure it does not get covered. I also think that the photo would look better with a smooth, rounded border. In order to do this, I'll go up to the Picture Tools Format tab. From here, we can see that there are many picture styles we can choose from. I think I like this one, so I'll go ahead and use it. Now we can move on to our final slide. I'll start by adding the same information that I collected earlier, and then I'll prepare to add an image. I think 2 would work well here. Oh, this one's good. It comes straight from Fond du Lac. I'll do the same process as before, shrinking the image and then adjusting the appearance. I also think it would be a good idea to include the Environmental Institute logo. You can find this on our Google Drive page. Your AmeriCorps Vista team leader or the Environmental Institute director will show you how to log in to the Google Drive. You can download the image like so. I'll copy and paste it just like before. Now I'll just shrink everything to fit. And there we have it. There's our PowerPoint.